where it will stream to the wrong stream point on my machine first, but it's going to the right place in the background. Everything's going to be fine. Yep. All right. That should be going. All right. So with that, we are going to get going with team, I believe, 34. Ruth is going to be joining us. She's has something to attend to, so she'll join us in a second. But we can get started. So team 34, if you guys want to get your videos going and get sort of oriented here, you guys, if I recall correctly, are Oculus multiplayer, but one of the other guest is not a guest, but one of you guys, right?
Yes.
All right. So I think I'm the one who's going in, and this world has been giving me a lot of anxiety. This is up there. All right. Anything you want me to do and like how we get this set up and oriented? Any setup stuff?
I think David will let you know after he has the
just
host.
give me 1 sec.
Yeah.
Right. I think I've got the right thing. Got the world here ready to go. And you want me seated or standing?
Probably standing would be the best.
All right, we can do that.
Okay, you should be able to launch it now.
All right. Going to share screen. Boop. Get that going right there. And all right, is this? What? You got the right stuff here. All right. So this looks mostly right.
Yeah.
My hands sorted. Whoa. I stand up here. Really, I feel like I'm standing on this chair.
Hey, over here.
Where's it coming from? Looking around.
Do you not see my character?
I do not. I'm looking around. I don't see anyone. Nathan.
Yeah, I'm not seeing you.
Oh, okay.
Should I?
Yeah, probably restart. You should be seeing someone. Let me relaunch mine and then you can relaunch yours. Not sure why that's happening. Okay. Try launching again.
Hold on a second. I started first. Just going through some stuff. All right, allow access. Stay by. Running this. Whoa, I see something now.
Alright. Hey, over here.
Hello.
Hey, so I kind of zoned out at the end of class there. You think I could borrow your notes?
Sure. These are my notes. Here you go.
Awesome, thanks. You're really saving my butt there. I don't think we've formally met yet. I'm Jacob, and you're Christina, right?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. Great to meet you, Christina. Yeah, thanks again for these notes, by the way. Oh, drop something. What's this? Oh, I heart Jacob. Ha, I guess I wasn't supposed to find that, huh? So I have a guitar lesson after class today, but would you want to hang out later?
Sure. I think I'm free.
Awesome. I'll see you later then.
All right.
Oh, man, moving is hard. I still can't believe we're actually doing this, moving in together. It's a big step in our life. I'm nervous, but also excited. Hey, could you put this box over by the door so I can take it in later? Thanks.
All right, I got it there.
Our relationship is really blossoming. Just like these flowers. I can't get enough of these flowers. I think I want them at my wedding. Is it too early to talk about that? Anyway, could you go put these over by the dirt so we can remember to plant them later? Thanks.
Oh, dirt over here by the fence. Dirt over here.
Yeah, just over there.
Please see some color. There we go.
I'm so glad that we decided to get a dog to help us settle in. What do you think we should name it?
How about Fred?
Fred. That sounds like a great name for a dog. I can't wait to go looking for him together. Oh, look at this. It's the note from the first day we met. You were so embarrassed, but I couldn't help but fall for that cute little smile you do. We should frame this. A symbol of our love for years to come. Well, I think that's it for all the unpacking here. I'll take this guitar in, and then we can get to unpacking the boxes inside. Let's make this house a home.
Right. Let's do it. Whoa.
Look, I care about you, but I just can't take this anymore. You spend all day at work and you come home so late. I mean, I want to trust you, but tell me, is there somebody else?
No, there's no one else.
You know, I can't say I honestly believe you. Every night, Christina, and even if you're telling the truth, I can't live my life being alone all the time, all day, every day. I'm sorry, but I think I need to leave. And this, I think this is over. And you can keep Fred too. He was always your idea anyway.
Whoa.
Hey, thanks for coming. Means a lot to me. How do I look?
Look good.
Thanks. I know we didn't work out the way we wanted to, but I'm happy now. And I hope you find happiness too. I hope you find your true love one day. You should go take your seat. My bride is waiting for me.
Not this bench over here. Sorry.
Shall I stay? Would it be a sin
Okay. We don't exactly have an ending, but that is the end of the game.
All right.
falling in love with you?
Let me stop share. Let's unpack this. Whew. All right. Oh, I mean, close that. So yeah, the world of telling a love story through sort of almost improv VR with another character has been like the goal from the beginning, and it's been really interesting going through it. So one of my worries was how much you're going to ask me to be the character in the world. And I think one of the things you guys did really well was keep my role within the sort of the bounds of comfort you could expect a guest to do. You didn't really ask me to do a whole lot of like lifting of the world in terms of like, I've got to bring motivation, I've got to bring the stuff. You get the places where you ask me to say things and do things. They were sort of within, like I could, like looking around the world, understanding what the world is saying about me. I could sort of come up with that and do that. I think that was a really good part of iteration. Is like thinking about how do you get a guest in here? Like this is a, I mean, this is a weird world, right? You're asking me to step in to be a character, and like the first moment I really feel it is when you talk about my name, and I'm in that moment very, very conscious of the fact that I'm not this character. I don't know the character's name. I don't really know anything about the character. I just know that you called me over, and we're the only two entities in this space. And so part of this world for me, the guest, is discovering what the story is at all. And it's sort of a weird thing to experience. And I think this is a thing to think about in terms of storytelling, is how much there's a story here in terms of backstory. Like this is a story about, like there's a note in my notes, which is, I have a crush on this character. And like the note falls out. And he's like, oh, I shouldn't have seen this. Like, I didn't know that note was there. It's like my character wrote it. My character has this like relationship with this other character, but it's like in the moment, like I'm feeling this tension between my reality and the character's reality, and sort of like trying to know what to do with that. And I'm like, for the entire experience, I'm riding this weird edge of how much are you going to test me? Like, how much is this world going to like want me to be this character when I know I'm not? And I think that gets to the point of like the places where you ask me to say things and do things, you fell on the right side of that. Like you're sort of, I was worried you're asking my name. I was going to like name myself. And it's like, I don't know enough to give a name. And I think it's a good comparison to like giving a dog a name. There's no stakes to giving a dog a name, but there are stakes to giving my character a name. And so finding those spots is definitely like part of the craft of this. So with those moments, one of the things that like in that whole experience, the beginning, the sort of the meet cute of like we sort of have this conversation. It is interesting to sort of feel the difference between these big story beats, which is we meet, we sort of like decide, we sort of develop a relationship, and then we have this moment of like moving in together, and then the relationship deteriorates, and we break up, and then a wedding happens. And I think one of my major reaction is how much catch up I feel like I'm playing. And it's like I'm like my brain is sort of like working in overdrive to like where are we now? And like that, like the argument is another example. It's like, okay, like I guess I'm not a good partner. Like I guess I have been working late. And you have like the question, is there another person? And it's like, I don't think so. And so the moments you're putting me in, I sort of miss the big story things, and the fact that they're not really told, I think is an interesting storytelling technique, because it's so I'm not sitting there being told like this is what happened in the past. So I'm building up that picture in my head, and I'm sort of like trying to figure out like how would I want that better? And I think I'm in this weird place where I want to be better prepared for the story moments, in the sense of like if we're having a fight, I kind of want to know what my character has done and sort of feel like I've sort of earned that role in the moment, versus like part of this world I think is about like discovering and sort of experiencing the story in sort of a weird, like I'm new to this, my character isn't kind of way. And like thinking about the stuff that was effective, like the stuff that's very immediate, like the moving and like put that over here, like the callback to the flowers, well, I guess the introduction to the flowers, and like the callback to the note, those things felt nice and strong. Like the note being thrown on the floor and being like, this is over, had a lot of meaning to me because it happened in the beginning and it carried over. But like the idea that I'm out late at night and I'm working all the time, like was sort of like an intellectual fact that just sort of hung in the air for me. And like, I didn't really know how to incorporate that into my experience in the story. And so I think it's all these little things, like the ability to build memories just through like the note at the beginning where you're saving it and then we use the end points to like a really strong technique for telling something like that. Whereas like introducing backstory and facts like on the fly felt a little alien to me, and how it went. And then like the obviously like the world doesn't really have a complete end. We sort of get to the wedding and it's like, I hope you have a good life. And I think part of I'm left a little wondering. I think I'm a little like, I feel like I was along for the ride as a guest. I think that's a result of both the idea of these story moments sort of being, I'm introduced to what happened, but not really a big part of it. And then the ending, I don't know exactly how that connects with my character. And I don't know if I think like we look back at the structure of the story, I don't really know what my character needed. So I don't really know how the ending fits with that. And I'm a very sort of silent participant in all of this. Like I do have a few moments of speaking, but I'm a little reminded of just like being like Link in Legend of Zelda, like, hey, I'm really glad you did that thing. And I get to be there like, yep, I don't want to say anything, but I'm sort of a passenger in the story. And I think that's the challenge of landing and ending here is my character doesn't have a whole lot of sort of like wants and needs, partially because you've created a world where I'm sort of supposed to be a full actor in a story, but as a guest, I don't have the script. I don't have that stuff. So it's hard for me to really know my character and what to do with that. And so like the breakup feels like it's being told to me. We're moving in, it's being told to me. And then the wedding, it's being told to me, and I'm not too sure like what it means to me. So I think that's some of the storytelling struggle. There's a little bit in terms of like scale that felt super weird Like the bed is this like gigantic bed. I felt like I was standing on the desk, and there was definitely just a reality that was messing with my brain a little bit about like how things were laid out, which VR will do.
And a big problem with that too is that we have 2 different headsets. So we're testing on a Rift S and an Index. And so when we switch headsets, the position changes and it was doing weird things. But that's
Yeah.
a tech issue.
Yeah, I believe that. But yeah, Ruth, you got a chance to catch that, right?
Yeah. I'm glad you guys did not do a branching story. Thank you. And I wanted you to stay on some of those meaty moments just a little bit longer. So, Dave, did you know that this guy that you're talking to in the classroom in the beginning was Jacob?
That moment, I was a little confused. My brain was like, okay, it's probably me giving it's my note for him that he wasn't supposed to get. But like in the moment, like your question about names, my brain blanked a little bit. It's like, is his name Jacob?
Yeah, and I think that was a moment that you could have started out with calling her by her name. Hey, it's me, Jacob. I think you needed to clarify who the 2 of them were a little bit stronger. And then when he sees the note, that's a great moment for an awkward situation. You know, oh, you mean me? You love me? Oh, well, you know, play that a little bit to create that moment of awkwardness, because otherwise you're going to go straight into not only are we in love with each other, but we're moving in together. Mm-hmm. So, establish that emotion there, and then you can establish an emotion arc across all the scenes. So I would play with the awkwardness more. And I wanted you to do more with the transitions to say that time went on. I saw the cell phone, and there was some really good moments you guys could have had, like her constantly checking the cell phone and seeing the date, or her constantly checking the cell phone to see her appointment calendar. That would have been a great way to tell us the backstory of what's going on. It's just her day is just meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. I mean, it would relate to today, it would be really strong to kind of give you, like what Dave was saying, is like, you don't know on your side of the story, are you seeing someone else behind their back? Are you not? Are you faithful or you're not faithful? Are you into this relationship? What does this mean for me, the viewer? And I think there's some little things that you can add to this in storytelling to just create that bond between the 2. Because then I think the wedding scene at the end is going to be so much more powerful if you can create more of a bond between the 2 players. Watch out for distractions. One of the biggest killers of story are distractions. And some of the distractions that I saw was that it wasn't really clear where the dirt was to put the plant. So make that a little bit more clear, so you don't have to come back in and go, oh yeah, over there. Make it the door was hard to see from that camera angle standing at the table. Make all of those things a little bit more obvious so they don't become distractions. The dog, I wish we saw a puppy outside by the picnic table, so that when we saw a bigger dog in the next scene, again, there would be that time shift. So he's like, oh, let's grab the guitar and go inside. And then he grabs the guitar and goes inside. And then we start with a shot with him inside and the guitar is there. So there's too many connections between these scenes, but there's time that's lapsed between them. And I think you need to push that farther. That time lapse and to really prove that is happening, to make the story feel a little bit more resonant. And at the end, when you get to the wedding scene as distractions, boy, is that a low-cut wedding dress. And of course, you're going to check out the woman that he's turned to because he's turned away from you. You're going to look at her. And I was out of the story at that point because I was like, wow, that is a low cut wedding dress. And I can think of like all the other posts that I've seen online about wedding dresses that you didn't want to see at a wedding, stuff like that. Just watch out for those little things that can really take your brain out of the immersion of the storyline. At the end of the story, he's like, hey, go take your seat. I'm glad you were really here. I'm really glad. This means a lot to me, but go take your seat. You know, he's putting you into your place. And I thought that that was really a powerful moment. And then when Dave turned around, it was obvious he didn't know where to go. There was something that looked like a seat next to him, and then there was all the pews out in the church, and he didn't know where he was supposed to go from that point. And that wonderful little arc that you just created with that go take your seat just fell off. At the, you know, go take your seat, as the player turns to look and sees the pews, just fade to black. End the story. You know, always fade to black. So that way you don't have to stand there and go, oh, that's the end. You know, that always kills you whenever you have to say, that's the end.
Yeah.
Fade to black, throw the end.
Yeah.
Give us that moment and then get us out of there, which I think that would be what I'd want to do if I was in that situation anyways, get out. But if you don't create that really strong bond, then the guest is going to get to the wedding. It's going to be, oh, okay, you're getting married again. Not with me, though. Okay, so you guys have a really great idea. I just think it needs to get pushed a little bit farther.
Well, and Ruth, I think your comment about the showing time, one of the things that I was like looking for was some consistency to what we were doing. And I think what like the note was, I think, one of your most effective tools for showing time, because it's a note at the beginning, but it's then framed on the wall later, and like it got transformed. And I would look, I think the idea about the dog is a great one. Like it starts as a puppy, you can show time with that. And I would, I think that would be the other thing I would look to, is give me an idea, sort of like a snapshot of these characters through these 4 scenes. And sometimes your job is to build memories and relationship in 2 minutes, but somehow make those meaningful. And the places where there were callbacks to what I was doing that I'd already done, I felt it. And the places where you basically told me something had happened, it was a struggle. And I think it's just a really good illustration of the challenge of interactivity and bringing guests into a story, but also where there are opportunities. And so that getting to the place where you can sort of like observe that and feel that, I think, is impressive. And then it's like more time and iteration to like polish those and make those like a really tight moment. And I still wonder, how does the wedding satisfy like what these characters are doing? And I still feel a little left out on like, what is the story? Like how is the wedding an ending to a story that's going on here? I think that'd be the other thing I would look at, is like, is it, yeah, because I think there's a little bit of like why we broke up. And I think I would want that pushed more of, is it like, right now it feels like it's just a rejection of me. Like this story is sort of like, we have a relatively boring relationship, and I worked too much, so he dumped me, and then he got married. I think I would like figure out like, can you weave that more into the scenes we play out, to reveal stuff more.
If we had more time, which is the end all of all projects, you know, if we had another week, if we had another day, I think a scene with the player alone between the breakup and the wedding would have been really powerful, and a really powerful way for you guys to say, is she glad that they broke up, or is she sad that they broke up? And to create that loneliness. And again, that would also create a time span between the 2 scenes. So it's like, you know, he left me because he thought I was seeing someone else, and boom, he's already getting remarried. Well, screw him. You need that moment in there to reflect on, oh, I wish this hadn't happened, or I'm happy that this happened?
Right now, I'm like building up a fuller story of this world, and my conclusion is you guys are the prequel to Team 29 story, which is the dog versus work, and it's a reflection on me being a workaholic and rejecting my life. I don't know if that's within like what's actually going on, but it's clicking for me. So now I want you guys to bridge them and somehow play them in sequence. But
Actually, there are a few details that I want to mention. So you definitely catch the notes reference in all the things. And we also have, for instance, a guitar reference. In the first thing, he mentioned he's going to the guitar class later. And then in the second thing, you'll see the guitar on the bench. In the third thing, in the bedroom, you also see the guitar. And also the flower reference in the second thing in the backyard, you see he mentioned about he wants a flower in the wedding, and you also in the wedding scene you see the flower all over the place. Like that's a flower you both love. So and also about the time span, we actually have the background for the phone to indicate that the time change. But maybe because of compressed quality of the game, you can't quite see the time on the phone. So
yeah, I think you guys are clearly thinking about all these things in the right way. I think just one of the big ones is this is what scope means, right? Like how to get all the details, not just how to get the details in, but how to get them to work well together. And that's where iteration comes into play. And I think you guys are in a great place to iterate some of these details. You guys know how you like the idea of like stringing them along through the scenes, telling time. And so like all those seeds are there. And I think some of those are showing like the places where the guests interact with it and it's like incorporating into the story more, it gets called out. Like the wedding scene, I knew intellectually that the flower was going to show up again. Like in the wedding, it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh, look at the flowers. So it wasn't a meaningful place. But man, like the character throwing the note on the ground, like that's like that is your model for like how to make the story meaningful, right? It's taking a thing that is made meaningful in the world in sort of a shared experience and then using it later to sort of like leverage that meaning and do something with it. And I think what it shows is like how to make things symbols and how to use them in the world. I think it's notable the flowers were told they were symbols. Oh, this is my favorite flower. And that was about as far as we went. And the guitar is like, oh, I'm doing this. But neither of them had meaning, but the note had meaning. And you were able to use that meaning to good effect. And that's the hard part. Like, how do you create meaning and then use meaning? And you found a piece that worked. So I think a lot of bold ideas here and some pieces that were really working. So, and then the whole idea of just like improv, we're working together trying to make this go. Like a great experiment and a lot of cool stuff. So good work. All right, that was team 34. Team 35. I'm gonna switch on. Team 35, you're Oculus, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Ruth, you're interested in taking this one or should I go for it?
Let me see if I can get it back up without too much reverb.
All right.
Final version 2 zip. There you are. Thank you for telling me this meeting. Dave, can you give me a share on my second login?
Yes, let me. Make it rather login co-host. Co-host.
Let me start this over. Let's try this again. Okay.
The audio isn't coming through. It's really quiet.
I'm sorry to inform you that. Unfortunately, at this time we do not. Thank you for your interest. I'm sorry to inform you that.
Is that better?
At this time we do not. Thank you for
Just low.
Change the output device to the Oculus one and then turn that up. It might make it louder for you too, though, is the thing. Huh?
Thank you for
There we
your
go.
That's working.
I am sorry to inform you that.
Unfortunately, at this time we do not. Thank you for your interest in.
I am sorry to inform you that.
Unfortunately, at this time we do not.
How about some
Thank you
reverb?
for your interest in.
I am sorry to inform you that.
Unfortunately, at this time we do not. Thank you for your interest in.
I am sorry to.
Okay.
I remember this photo. My parents loved telling me how I kept on messing around with the camera when I was young.
We're bringing back bad memories to another world. Oh.
Guess I've been drawn to films ever since I was a baby. I played with that camera more than all my other toys combined. This film festival. I got the first award of my life here. I wonder where I put that trophy. It must be around here somewhere.
Come on. Reach. Drop everything. Oh. That's why you're supposed to pay attention. Guys, there we
I
are.
still remember that warm feeling I got when I saw everyone enjoying my film. That was when I resolved to make films for the rest of my life. Oh yeah, I remember this assignment. Terrible prompt, terrible professor, even worse grade. I was so mad afterwards, ripping up the rubric and everything. I wonder though, what kind of comments did I get? Well, the feedback here is fair. Still, pretty mean though. I was a little caught up in my emotions back then, I guess. My professor really was trying to help me. I think? Sometimes, I really thought about giving up. I seriously started doubting if I should continue to pursue my dreams. To continue aspiring to become a film director. Would I ever get my diploma?
Here we are.
In the end, I pulled through and graduated. At that moment, it felt like all my hard work had finally paid off. It was now time for me to step into the world and begin the life of a filmmaker. After graduating, I started up a small indie film studio with some of my friends. We were all so excited. This was going to be our first step into the big wide world. I still remember when we took our first scene. It was an unforgettable moment.
My film career is in the middle of a piece of furniture.
I remember those times. It was so much fun working on that film with my friends. Everyone worked so hard to make it the best it could possibly be. Our debut film. My team and I poured our heart and soul into making that thing. We were so excited when there were reviews for it on the newspaper. But once we saw what was written, our dreams were shattered. Our studio went under after making just that one film. We worked so hard, yet, in the end, we were left with nothing. Can I even do this? Am I even cut out to be a film director? Wait, is that me? But how? Well, there's my rejected script. I guess I could put it here for now.
Movie-making process is complete. The picture that hits the big screen is the result of collaboration by dedicated practitioners of the art. Our last award honors that magical realization. And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to, where did the Oscar go?
Hey, how's it going? So, I know you submitted a script to the company I worked at, and how it kinda got rejected. But I looked over it and thought it was really good, so I showed it to my boss. And guess what? He also loved it. Could you come in, like, right now? My boss is really excited about meeting you.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Fade to black. Leave the meeting there, and hopefully we'll get rid of some of the reverb. Okay, I really liked the size of the scrapbook. It was huge. And it's not normal for a scrapbook to be that large, but it made it so much easier to interact with and to see the images. I didn't have to worry about having to like pick it up and look at it real close. So I really liked the size of the scrapbook. That was, and it seemed a lot less clunky than it seemed last week. So it moved really well. I was really glad to see that you put an interaction on the front page, on the first page there. I thought that worked really well. It got me to see that there was a hole in the picture. I understood that that hole was there. And then the shape told me what to look for, and I looked for it and I found it. So I thought that was really great. The story itself is very depressing. Boy, I suck. And I'm just, it's just bad luck after bad luck after bad luck. And I really liked the fact that there was a little bit of retrospect there. That, well, maybe that person was trying to help me. And now that I see it, but I was really mad then. So I thought that worked. But some of the pictures I felt were not as strong as they could have been. So when I got the bad grade, that was the picture of the guy with the suitcase, if I remember correctly. And I didn't relate that to, I got a bad grade on a writing assignment. Did he get kicked out of school? I wasn't sure how that picture related to that writing assignment. But I like the pose of the character. I felt the pose of the character matched the feeling that I was feeling. Like I was saying that, boy, I was really angry. So I like the pose. It was just the fact that he had the suitcase and I didn't know where he was. That was a little weird. But then it went into the starting the film company, and it's not always a bed of roses. So I thought that was kind of fun. What else? Oh, and then the so we made the picture and it did badly. and the reviews were bad, and it was actually a lot of fun to see all the ripped up pages in the chair and to reach them and grab them and to be able to see. I was glad that you were able to see like some like one line. You didn't have to see all the details. You kind of got a little bit of a picture as to what the critique was. So I was really happy to see that, and I was able to read it and put it in, and that all felt good. The one aspect of the story I'd want you to like try to push a little bit more is that moment when all seems lost, and then you win. You get the Oscar, and that was it was finally sweet to have that moment of success after so many failures. But I wanted you just to say, keep going, keep trying, don't give up. And I think that's the one thing that was missing in that spot, because it was failure after failure after failure, and then you win it all. And I just wanted you to push that just a little bit more, that I'm going to keep going. The part about seeing the picture through the window and seeing me sitting in the chair actually took me completely out of the immersion of the storyline, because then I thought it turned into a horror movie, and who's outside my room looking in at me? I thought we were going in a completely different direction. So that kind of took me out of the story. That was a big distraction. And then at the end, I didn't know what to do. So I don't know if something I triggered the book to close, or was I supposed to open the book back up again to go back to the last page?
Yeah.
I didn't know where I was going at that point. And then finally the phone came into play, which was there from the beginning. So, and a happy ending. We always like to have a happy ending, don't we? Happy ending, fireworks, and then just go ahead and fade to black.
So Ryan, you're gonna say, was the moment for the end scrapbook supposed to go back through it, or was there? How was it?
You're supposed to go back through it, and kind of to address the point of like they hand you the win versus you keep going. If you notice the last page on the scrapbook during the day, it was not you with a scar. That was kind of you telling you to move forward. But I guess like the delivery of that was not as strong as we hoped.
Yeah, because the moment you close the book, you end the story. It's over. You set it up perfectly and the winner is, if you had left the book open, I would be so anticipating turning the next page to find out, okay, who's the winner. You set it up really great, but I think closing the book was just a signal that just says, but we're done. The story's over.
Well, and Ruth, watching you do it, I sort of had some reaction, because the world does a great job of sort of teaching the way this world works. Like that beginning and opening the scrapbook, like you're leaning on the phone. Like the phone is sort of like a clear, like, what is it? I mean, actually, Ruth, I think you I don't know if you did it intentionally or not, but you turned off the message on loop at the very beginning. Like there's really annoying repeated rejection message. And then like the book is such a natural thing to open and go. And there's like that little tutorial of like, put the camera in the slot, learn the slot, like you said. And it sort of speaks to like the craft and the work that goes into getting the guest comfortable with how a world works and then using that. Because once we're past that, like the steps, like I think one of the biggest obstacles was the real physical world interfering with VR, because you knew what you needed to do instead of pulling them in. But like the flow was in a really great spot. Like we complete a picture, we turn, we hear the voiceover, and so just a lot of really, really good pacing of like using the internal voiceover to tell us how to understand what we're seeing, do this relatively simple action that's kind of meaningful, like where is that? Oh, what is that thing? So completing the picture. I think the ending is where like you introduce new things, and I think it's a little bit, it's like clear, like there's a little less support and structure. Like we have a closed book again. We just learned we're going page by page. And so the idea of opening it back up and flipping back through it is a whole new interaction. And like, I could see like if you're an experienced, guest and you sort of know what to do, you can make that really smooth. Like, oh, let's go back through and sort of like show we reflect again and we get to this point. But getting the guest to do that, I think is an extra piece of work. But I think a lot of like I said, the flow of this world, especially where you were at Interim, one of the biggest things you did was you have a story, like you have a focus to it that makes a lot more sense. It's kind of funny seeing the pictures repurposed. Like the scene of like what looks like a relationship scene is now a scene from a movie. And I think Ruth, like the point about the airport scene, like it was an airport scene before, and now it's sort of like got some ambiguity. So I think there's some efficiency in how you're using the pictures, but the fact that there's this through line of them is so much more satisfying now. And the contrast, I think the two biggest ones that were really, really great was the critique, basically the grade, and the review. And like those had so much meaning because they represented not just an accomplishment, but they represented like this idea of success and failure and feedback that ties in. And I really like seeing the grade and then the grade on the next page, which was an A+, and you got to show growth through that. And like just really strong choices on how to illustrate those and how to make them meaningful. And I really like the mechanic. I mean, like you have a relatively simple world, which is turning pages and pulling things into the book, but just watching it, the action of reaching out beyond the book to grab something that's real and then putting it into the book, and that completing the story and like that moment of reflection, like from an observer perspective, it read really well. Like I liked like just that sequence of actions and understanding it. It made actually the first one the weirdest one, because the first one is like this little baby with like a cutout of a camera. I think it's the only one that's not sort of a real object in the world that gets connected. And so like that, there was like first that transition, which was fake little picture of a camera next to the baby to a real trophy on the side. But once we got into that metaphor space, I think it was working really well. And I think I would like that. And this is where the ending, I agree with you with like the view from outside, even the voiceover character calls it out. It's weird. Like, wait, how did a picture of me get into the book? And why is it coming from the window?
Yeah.
And I think that's the place where iteration on this is just what are those pictures and what is the meaning behind those pictures? Because I think the story now knows all those moments, what they are. And like, it's that last connection piece of like that picture really reinforces the meaning. And I think that's partially why the grade and the review work well, is because they are a complete story in and of themselves. Whereas those other pictures, they're a partial story that's telling some extra details that are getting in the way. And I think that the ending connection of like that picture outside is a little bit like, I think I sort of see where you're going. Like this is idea, like the story isn't finished yet. And we're in the moment to like, put something in the scrapbook. But I think that I guess the question of one of the things when I look back at the world thinking about it, I kind of want to watch it again to see what do the pictures mean and what do the interactive pieces mean? And is there a pattern that I can use to understand what it means to complete the world? And at the end of the world, I was confused. I kind of knew what we were doing, but there wasn't enough of an interactive pattern that gave meaning to those actions to like really clarify, this is what I'm doing now. And I think that's like the big goal of that scene is when I take that rejected script and put it in, like you want that to be a really, really meaningful thing. And I don't know, Ruth, when you put that into the scrapbook, what did that mean in terms of the story for you?
It meant a lot, but I think it lost a little with the bad review. So we make the movie, we get a bad review, and then bingo, we won an award, and then we get the phone call that says, oh, by the way, I really liked it, and I my boss wants you to come in and talk to me. It needed a moment there in the middle to kind of bring that all back together. And I think going back through the scrapbook took us out of that moment. It took us out of that buildup. And once you get that emotion going, just keep it going. Don't stop it.
But I think it's a real credit to the story you told, that you basically, like, I kind of want that ending just to be that little tweak tighter, because it's such, I think you made it tell such a really strong piece. Like even like the action of pulling the Oscar down into the hands, like I think it just showcases like how you found an interaction that can like really capture meaning in a relatively simple gesture. And then like that, so like the metaphor of the book and pulling things in, like you gave it like this idea for the how to like understand it and use it and drive the story. And then there's some like really subtle details, like you guys play with color. Like when we get low, like the world is very desaturated in black and white. And then when we get, happy, like the world fills with color. And so just a lot of strong details and strong moments. And I think it's just those last little connecting pieces to like be like, this is what I'm doing. Because I think for me, you're playing with time and like a metaphor and like this idea of like persevering at the very end, that it's all in the air and I feel it, but my brain is like still trying to like click pieces together and be like, exactly what does that mean? And so I think it's right there, but a lot of great choices in iteration.
Reaching for the Oscar was a great moment. After so much hardship, reaching up and grabbing it, that was so much better than the award from the beginning, where it was just reach out and grab it. It's on your same level. But when you had to reach up to grab the Oscar, that was great, because it was like I was reaching up. I was pulling myself up after so much depression and failure, that it's right there. All I need to do is reach out and grab it. And so that was a great decision of your guys to put it above, floating in the air. It doesn't make any sense. What the heck's it doing floating in the air? But it had a really good feel to it.
Yeah, no, and actually like seeing it, it's funny, like when you sort of know your world and your story, like some things like click and make sense, and that felt like a natural extension of the way this went. It was a little bit magical. Like the fireworks were a little weird, but they were still like, it was like a celebration. It was cool. There's a little bit of audio like overlapping that was a little like, it was like, ooh, like it'd be nice to hear, but at the same time, like the what was being said was not, it wasn't in the details, it was in like the moment of like, it's clearly an Oscar ceremony and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, like a lot of great details. I think you managed to shift us from a sequence of images in a scrapbook with interaction to a story told in a unique way that came across and felt impactful. So good work.
Thank you.
All right. Last team 36. Let's get things ready to go. Get video up. And this is Oculus. I'm going to go ahead and run it. Seated or standing?
I prefer like it's not like sitting or standing, both works, but you need to make sure like when you start the game you have enough space like in front of you, because there are some interactions in front of you. If you are too close to the desk, like
don't smash my hands into my monitor is what you're saying. All right, we will.
And everything else, I guess, yeah, you can yeah, it's like you can choose to like. I think like sitting is fine if you wanted to like.
I'll stand.
Okay, sure. Cool.
Just know you guys, your world takes place in a bed. I wasn't sure if you specifically wanted seated. All right. Share this. Go ahead. Right. Definitely. Keeping definitely like community outside the window. Goodbye, Chiefs.
I guess I'd better write something today. Another boring day passes in this room. I'm not feeling well today. Probably don't have much time left from the looks of things. It's weird. No, not only have I gotten used to hospital life, but even the thought of dying no longer scares me. That's how things are, I guess. Can't exactly change this routine of mine, can I? At any rate, no matter how boring it gets around here, Sienna's always there to brighten my day. I feel so blessed to have such an avid fan of my fantasy stories. And yet, I feel so sorry for her. Life doesn't grant Sienna the pleasure of eyesight, so she's never truly known the real world. At least I know what exactly I can do to help.
Hello? You in there? It's Sienna. May I come in?
Oh, there you are, Sienna. I hope you didn't come here all by yourself. Does the nurse know you're here? You know it's dangerous to wander the hallways alone.
Don't worry, I'm fine. But what about you? Are you writing again? I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just really wanted to continue yesterday's story.
Yeah, it was just a little journal entry, but I'm all done for today.
Great! Does that mean you have time to continue the story?
Of course. Now, where did we leave off? Ah, right, the traveling little girl.
So, what happens next? Where does the little girl end up this time?
This time, she finds herself within the darkest of worlds. Here, all the light and color has run away.
Sounds like a sad place. I bet she can't see anything at all. Just like me.
Don't worry. The little girl always finds her way, doesn't she? This time around, she will capture the lost light and color.
Wow, that's so cool. How does she do that?
After looking around, she finds it. A shining point of light right in front of her. It's a light that left the world. Grab it quickly.
Now, what does the world look like?
Since the light has returned, the little girl can now see the world for what it is. She sees a vast kingdom surrounded by limitless natural beauty. However, everything is still gray, because the color is still missing from the world.
But I'm sure the girl can get the colors back. Can't she?
Yes, she definitely can. Now, in front of the little girl, there stretches a wide lake with shining waves crashing upon the shore. She decides that this is
Wow, in waves! I can hear it and feel it so well. Dancing waves, drops of water kissing my face.
That's right. Now the little girl tries to capture the color of the water. And once she does, she can return into the lake.
What color is the lake now?
The lake now is a deep blue. It's a color that makes you feel calm and refreshed.
I think I can feel it. Yes, blue is a peaceful color.
Seeing that smile on your face? I think you've got the right idea.
And then what happens?
Alright, next there's a huge field of flowers. The little girl looks down and finds a yellow light fluttering around her feet.
Pick it up, pick it up.
The girl picks up the collar, and with a touch, it returns to the field.
Yay! How those flowers look now?
Oh, simply dazzling. Their soft yellow glows like the rays of sunshine at dawn.
Sunshine. So, they're like the sun? I know the sun. It's very warm and it makes me happy. I felt warmth when I walk with the nurses in the garden.
That's right. Now listen carefully. Did you hear that rustling? It's a wind blowing across the flower field.
Yes, yes, the rustling. Sha, sha.
The flowers wave together in the wind, moving softly like a giant puffy marshmallow.
A marshmallow! How sweet!
Now, the little girl is going to add color to the trees. She sees greens and brown lights flying around her. Those are the colors of the trees.
Green and brown? What does those feel like?
Green tastes like a chocolate mint ice cream. Brown, like cinnamon rolls.
Oh, I love those. And I know what trees are like. I remember how leaves sound and how bark feels. And now I know their color.
It really is something else, isn't it? That rough feeling when you touch a tree.
Yeah. So, have everything returned to normal now?
That's right. Color has finally returned to the world, filling the girl with an indescribable happiness. She grows tired and sits in the shade of an enormous tree. There, she falls asleep to the sound of waves and the fragrance of flowers.
That sounds amazing. I wonder what it'd be like to see such wonderful things.
One day you will know. I promise.
Are you alright?
Don't worry, I'm fine. I just need some rest.
Okay. Can you promise to continue the story tomorrow?
Yes, for sure. But now it's time for you to go back. Careful, okay?
I will be careful. See you tomorrow then.
Hope to see you then. Sienna, the traveling little girl will still continue her journey. I hope you know the time we spend together means much more than what I can describe. I really wish I could stay with you a little longer. There was time I have to say goodbye. We were talking one day about whether you'd ever see the beauty the world has to offer. If you're reading these words right now, then you must have received my gift.
Now it's your turn to see. It's your turn to discover signs even grander than the ones I've showed you in my stories. The future holds much more than you'll ever know. Take care.
Right. Another light and happy world. Well, one, just great work. Like just a nice, tight story. Sort of speaking of endings and fading to black and not overstaying your welcome. I really sort of appreciate you guys sort of like having a nice, clean ending. So the world about a relationship between two characters, me and the girl, and like how that plays out. And I think going through it and getting to sort of feel it, it's like the main part of the story is like this storytelling moment of like, tell me about the world. And it was just not deep interaction. Like I'm grabbing orbs of light and I'm bringing them to the world. But you did a great job of sort of like setting up why that's meaningful. And one of the things that really stood out to me is the little girl, like just her as a character, and her like reacting to what I'm doing brought this world to life for me. Like the voice acting was great. And this is, I think I'm particularly sensitive to this, but the idea of telling a story to an audience, like a child, and it's all about reaction, like how they're responding, and it's not just like we're going to tell a story. This is like having those moments in that time where the child reacts. And I think one of the things that you did really well was capturing that. Like she's excited, she's responding, and that's what sort of brings this out. And so that whole, without that, like this world doesn't land, right? If she's not meaningful, if she's not a character, a little person, then I'm just sort of being told this. But you gave me this moment where we get to go into the story world and I get to do these things. And I'm effectively pacing the story for her, but her reactions really sell it. And I think just really good work on delivering that. And like that way that transitions to the ending, you get me to like sort of, we had this whole I'll see you later, like you sort of know the story you're telling, and like the use of the voiceover to like get that to go through. I think that you get a really lovely ending. We go back to the story place. The fact that I am not in control and the fact that I am a sort of a floating camera and that other perspective is a really effective use of it too. Being in the space and being able to sort of like look, but no, I'm not controlling, made it feel very different in a good way. In that I'm now like, I'm experiencing sort of like the ending and like her story. And so I think just good use of those like different perspectives and different controls for that. And the beginning, like you do a good job of like establishing place. The space felt good, like in terms of size and positioning. I'm sort of on the ground, like getting to like the right comfort with the desk, but overall things were like, it's just sort of like well laid out. And I think just efficient in where you need the details and all that stuff. I had a little bit of issues with interactivity at the beginning with like writing with the diary. Like I didn't know I had to keep it going. It's like I got the first part and it wasn't really clear, it needed more. So that took me a while. And I have this release form for the donation and I never do anything with it. And so I'm sort of like, you can sort of like see one of these patterns, which is if I don't have enough guidance to know what to do next and there's something I can fiddle with, I'm going to fiddle with it. Like I'm going to try to make something happen. And it's part of this like natural exploration of what is interactive. And so I think there's a little distraction there, but it was partially like I needed that nudge on, nope, the diary entry is not done yet, because I think you did all the other interactions are really well positioned for like the clarity of this happens and then it goes on to the next. So just getting me comfortable with what is the world expecting me to do was done really well. There's a few things that as I was in the storytelling world, it's about color and beauty, and man, I wanted it to just be a little more colorful. Like there's a little bit of a disconnect. Like we bring the light in, and the grass has color, but we're told the world doesn't have color yet. So there's a little like just some small details of like the story says this, but the visuals say that. Like the water is told to be like a deep blue, and it's kind of like a light blue. And then like the flowers are like this, really lovely yellow, and they're sort of like a pale yellow. I think they're like little details. But I think that's one of the things I would like want on iteration is like to have this scene shift from really feeling the desaturated black and white to it being like exploding with color. But I think it's a credit to the storytelling that you didn't need it. It would be nice, but the girl's reaction and the story carried a lot of that. And this is just, when you're thinking about virtual worlds, when you write a book, you just put the details and it's just, you get the details in the words and you carry through. But a virtual world, you have to have layers of stuff. Like it's the audio, it's the visuals, it's the story, it's the voiceover, it's the reaction. And so like that extra layer of the visuals sort of like rising to the level that the girl's reacting to would have been one of the things that would have been nice. Ruth?
I agree with everything that Dave said. In the beginning, when he was struggling to figure out what to do, you lost him for a little bit. And while timing is so important to comedy, pacing is so important to storytelling. And this was a really great story that just needed a little bit more pacing. It needed to go just a little bit faster. It would go really good and then it would stop a little bit, and it would go really good and it would stop a little bit. So just tighten it and it would be absolutely amazing. It's already really, really good. You scribble a little bit and you write a lot. You don't want the actual participant to write everything. So I would have left that whole diary entry all in one interaction and just let it be long and let it listen as the guest is looking around at the hospital room and everything else that they're doing. I so wanted to fill out the entry form, the release form. I so wanted to fill it out. And I don't know whether it would have been proper to fill it out then or whether it would have been proper to fill it out at the end when she comes back. I'd wanted to like try it twice and throw it into testing and see which one had a better impact on people, or to come back from the story back to the hospital room and it's already filled out. I agree with Dave. There needed to be one more connection between that release form to just kind of knit the whole thing together. I think you guys did a much better job this week of describing the color. And I agree, I would go a little bit purely saturated in the colors to make such a huge difference between the gray world and the colored world. And I thought that was a really great choice of you guys to start out gray and to put the color back in. Now, it felt like the interaction there was a little clunky. It's a very simple interaction. Make it as simple to carry out as possible so that that naive guest can quickly grab those color balls and throw it so that there's no hesitation and it doesn't kill the pace of your story. So that felt a little clunky. I think you guys could clean that up a little bit. When you come back to the hospital room, it's so incredibly powerful. I love the coughing. I would have added coughing one or two other places throughout to kind of foreshadow what's going to happen if they haven't figured it out already. But her last entry, I would have left her cited for the last entry because you go to black and then you hear the scribbling and then she's writing the last entry in a diary. I would have left that so that when it does go to black, it would be so much more powerful. And I felt like you nailed the sound effects in that moment. in the hospital room. So I thought that was really well done. And I really enjoyed seeing the ending with the little girl reading the entry. I thought that was a really great ending. And thank you for fading to black and see the power of we're just ending it right here. It's over. And then that was really well done.
Ruth, to your point about the ease of interaction, the first one, I think the voiceover is like, you know, she reached out and grabbed it and then threw it to the sky. Like, I think I almost like hit it on the beats of the voiceover, and it felt really good. Like, it felt like I did what the story asked me to do. And I actually appreciated how the story was like, and the orb was bouncing our feet. The tree, there was like a brown and a green orb, but I only saw a green orb. And so I think we're in a place with your world where it's like, there are just some details where the world is saying this.
Oh, actually, I want to add something. Actually, the orb will change color between brown and green, but like you grab it instantly. So I guess you didn't see the other color.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, this is just like some details of, now that I go through it, like this is where the world says something and this is where I experience something, and there's like little gaps. But I like the fact that the interaction was pretty simple, because it was really close to just being a very intuitive, flowing moment for me, but I had to do it. And the fact that I just had to throw sort of the colors back into the space was good. So I think just good choices on, you didn't repeat the pencil thing. You didn't give me a paintbrush. Like, and now the guest has to like paint all the flowers. You kept it like, you sort of knew the story you're telling, which is, the important moment is I bring the color to this part now. And you're very direct. And I think that was very effective. So yeah, like overall, some really great choices. You guys know your story really well. And I think that's expressed in what you built. And I think the story is really effective because the little girl, like through the story, we hear how excited she is and like that connection. And so the ending that we help her, like, it's a very satisfying, like there's a resolution here. There's like in some sense, the idea of a problem got solved, like really stands out, but it's not so like, you know, there isn't a moment where she says like, you know, oh, thank you for giving me eyes. Like you're not so on the nose that you're hitting us over the head, but we definitely feel it, and we definitely experience. So great work.
Thank you.
All right. Well, congratulations everyone for Story Round. Just really, really great work. Like just amazing stuff. And actually like everyone sort of pushing on technology, like everyone, like VR this round is crazy. I don't know how you did it. My guess is VR sets went home, but just the ability to like adapt to new platforms, make the tech work, make the remote teamwork work. Like this is one of the sort of discussions continually around BBW is like the work that's being done and like how are things different, and like this round for story, like this is, I would put these worlds up against every other BBW and be like, good luck picking out which one was done with remote teamwork, because like this has just been fantastic stuff. And in fact, like I don't know, the quality has actually gone up. Maybe we should do remote every year. But like just I think you guys have engaged with the idea of story and how to bring the worlds to life, how to think about the characters, and how to make that interactive. And in ways that are just really, really powerful. And one thing I would hope, like, I think this is just like a thing that occurs to me is like, there's a good chance that not many of you have had a chance to play your worlds. And so like finding ways to share that and getting everyone to just a chance to experience this stuff would be one of the goals, because this stuff is worth experiencing and sharing. So again, like just great work on round 4, and you guys should all feel really proud of yourselves for like tackling a really difficult thing, which is interactive story, and like finding techniques and strategies, and the ability to like tell meaningful, moving stories in like a less than 5-minute experience, and making that interactive, and giving the guest agency, and like trying to get a sense of like, what does it mean to give freedom, but not, like binary choice and things like that. So overall, a really, really great round 4. And with that, I kind of want to transition over into round 5. And like I said, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise because round 5 is all about festival, which is what we've kind of been like foreshadowing a lot. So let me pull this up and share it. I'm going to put the link into chat. So this, oops. This is the link to round 5, the round 5 assignment sheet in chat. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You do not need to optimize for this stuff. And we'll go over this. Get this. All right. So round 5, it's festival time. Some notable things. You guys have 2 interims. So if you do the math, you guys have 3 weeks for this assignment. The first interim is ungraded. It's there like as like a major feedback session. It's there as part of like the pacing of the assignment. But interim 2 is graded, and obviously final is graded. But this first week is about like thinking about strategy and platform and pitches. Interim 1 like should be thought of as a full interim. Think about your deadlines and your milestones and how to pace things and use them effectively. But it does give you this first week is a little bit different than most of the rounds you've been in. So with that, what are you guys doing? You are making a round 5 world, which is designed for the end of semester ETC festival. It can be any of the platforms we've done, but your goal is to design it for the online multiplayer context that the ETC Fall Festival team is building. And you'll be presenting them in class as usual, but you will also be explaining as part of the presentation, and we'll see in the grading of how it'll work for the online festival. And like the online festival is new. We've never done this before. It's still being worked on and figured out. But we will be taking these to a jury. So we will have a jury that will be looking at the worlds and deciding what goes to festival. And some things to think about for that is what they'll be looking at. And historically, jury looks at novelty. Like, how is this showcasing something new, different? How is it different from other worlds in the festival? We've seen multiple times in jury where there's a few worlds that are similar. And the jury's like, well, we're only gonna take one of those. And so it's not about which of the worlds are the 12 best worlds. It's what is a range of experiences that showcases creativity, novelty, and all that stuff. The social aspect will probably be really big this year. The system that the team is making for the festival is rooted in like an MMO experience. So people coming together into a shared space. And the goal of that is social. So people can come and talk to each other, can reflect on what they just did, and hopefully can have experiences that connect them together. So the idea isn't that there's a showcase of work and you can just go and download them and play them. The goal is that the worlds feel like unique, synchronous social moments. And I think that's what jury will be looking for. So how do you make an experience which captures that and delivers it? And then the last one is sort of in the idea of just making it as accessible to everyone as possible. That might be thinking about who's attending festival in terms of what hardware do they have? Can they run it? It might mean like reliability and does it run well? Is it something that is like, will only a small group of people at the festival be able to get to try it? Will a lot get to try it? You might think about accessibility as well as, do they play it or do they watch it? And one of the things we've seen with festival is spectators are an important part of guest experience. And you might make a world which only a few people play it, but a lot of people get to watch the experience. And that might be really meaningful as well. So with all that, make an activity, build a game, tell a story, make a piece of interactive art, do performance art, involve live action, build a network world, do something that's never been thought of before. Any and all of the above are fair game. Make your guests laugh, make them cry, make them think, make them go wow, but whatever you do it well. There is no tomorrow. There is no next round. This is round 5. This is getting to the end of our BVW journey. So think about the stuff you've learned and the stuff you've built upon, the group dynamics, how to work in a team. You're going to sort of go through in stages. The first week will probably be about being creative as a team and how to brainstorm and strategize for festival. We'll talk more on Thursday a little bit about that. The balance between something safe that you can sort of execute on versus something risky and novel that may not work, and how do you test that? How do you find your marshmallows? How do you give yourself enough time to iterate? How do you manage scope so that your world might require minutes of animation? How do you find the time and the bandwidth to address that? And how do you build your schedule? How do you look at your 3 weeks? How do you use that time effectively? And above all, the idea of having fun. How do you find something that you as a team want to work on? One of the things we've seen over and over again in the work you do, if you're excited about the work, if you want to, figure out how it's going to come out, work on that, fix those bugs, implement that feature, bring it to life, you will do better work. And I think especially in the space of teamwork and exploring ideas, how do you find your excitement is part of this as well. So when it comes to technology, everything is fair game. We do ask that you push yourselves a little bit. So the keyboard and mouse is in play, but we will ask that you kind of go above and beyond just a single player experience, basically a single player game. And this will reflect in what Jury looks for. Jury is going to be looking for stuff that, the way I think it's only in BW. So I think thinking about platform and technology will be a big first part of discussions as a team. If you want to use VR and you want access to the building, we're going to be releasing a sign-up form for platforms tomorrow, so we can manage the access to that and manage keys and things like that. But this assignment is about you guys sort of having the autonomy to make your own decisions and choose what you want. So our role is going to be support you guys. So if there's stuff you want to do, reach out and ask. This is an assignment which is it's now under your control. So for the most part, we're going to work hard to say yes to what you want to do. Some details. Interim 1 is a non-graded interim, but I would encourage you guys in terms of scope and scheduling to think of it as interim. The ideal round 5 schedule is weeks 1 and 2 are sort of like your development, and then week 3 is there for iteration. I think 2 weeks is a ridiculously short amount of time, and I would encourage you to not say, oh, we have 3 weeks, let's go bigger. I would encourage you to keep the idea of a short scoped world in place and around 2 weeks, and use the extra time at the end to respond to feedback and iterate one more time, as opposed to build out 1 more week's worth of more stuff. So interim 2 is 2 weeks in. It's the first graded interim. One extra piece, tiny little piece, is in preparation for festival. We want you guys to have a little quick summary so we can get ready for basically building out the website and descriptions of worlds and things like that. And it's good as part of your interim to be able to pitch what is the experience in that short of a description. And then the final world is due November 24th. Well, it's due the Monday night before, but it's being showcased in class on the 24th. And one extra piece of that is having a theming plan included, which will be both concept art for the virtual space and a guest flow document explaining how you'll manage guests and how you're specifically thinking about guests who are experiencing the world, spectators, what it means to sort of wait for the experience, what you will be doing as part of the experience. So that's an extra piece of the final submission. And the grading and the due date is before jury. So we're sort of basically done with the world. It gets graded. It's in its own space, and then we go to jury. And jury and festival are on a sort of a separate space, and so we sort of keep that intentionally different. So it's not like getting into festival determines your grade, but the festival itself is the next phase of class. And then we've got sort of the descriptions of grading here. You're familiar with now in terms of like the details, and that's the big stuff here. It's like I said, it's the using the lessons from rounds 1 through 4. So Naive Guest is especially powerful here. Building a fun activity, telling story through theming and activity, but also looking at visual story and fundies and improvisational acting. We will see some extra pieces in the schedule. The week after it's due, we'll be doing jury. So that will be, there is time between final submission and jury to possibly iterate and do some work. Historically, we encourage students to like hold off a little bit, take a break. You don't necessarily need to like be working on all this all the time through. And there's time post jury to festival where that's where some work is expected. Once the worlds have been decided about getting into festival, there might be notes on how to make them more robust, how to change them a little bit to better suit the needs of festival. And with that is the bulk of round 5. There are some details we'll be going over on Thursday. Notably, we'll be going over all the details of what does the virtual festival mean in some very practical details of like the concept art for the virtual space. We'll be talking a lot more on Thursday of like, what does the virtual space mean? And things like that. But we want to get the assignment out, get you guys thinking a little bit before Thursday, just to start that process going. So with that, any quick questions about stuff? So the question, when's jury is December 1st. It'll be a fully remote jury. And it'll be sort of similar to class with what we will do is we'll go world by world by world, and we'll basically live run. Historically, it's between 30 and 40 worlds through jury. And so as we get closer, we'll talk more about the process of jury. But yeah, December 1st is when jury happens. Anything else in terms of like questions about assignment 5? Like I said, Thursday, we're going to talk about virtual festival, and I'm going to talk more about the idea of festival, talk more about jury, and like what it is that jury discusses and thinks about to sort of help you strategize. And we'll talk a little bit more about platform and how to think about platform and how to like use that to drive your discussions as a team. All right. Well, with that.
Yeah, sorry. I have a question. Then, do we have any reference or sample for the festival project in the last year? Or
yeah, so that's what I'm going to be going. I'm going to be doing a lot of that on Thursday. The one thing I'm a little hesitant on is festival this year is going to be really different.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to be releasing round 5 worlds that you guys can look at and see, and we'll be talking. Like a big part of Thursday will be talking about what people in the past have done and like why, sort of like jury's discussion around those worlds and like why they were specifically chosen for festival, and using that to sort of highlight how we think about festival and like what different approaches look like and how they get sort of shifted a little bit too as well.
Cool, thanks.
All right. With that, Annie, Karen, Steph, and you guys have some quick notes for the class?
Okay, let me share screen real quick. Oh, this one. Okay, so the first thing is, Steph?
Yep. So we need you guys to return the VR headsets into your team room and then put your room key into the producer's mailbox by 2:30 tomorrow. So just make sure that you clean it before you put it in there. Make sure everything is still in the box. Once you put the VR headset in the room, lock the door behind you. Make sure you clean down everything before you do that. And then put the key back into the producer's mailbox.
If you have any difficulties making the time, please let us know ahead of time.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And the second thing is, Dave just mentioned that there will be festival design consultation session for each team for 20 minutes. And please go on this link. It'll take you to the appointment page with 9. And we are expecting to please try your best to have all the team there for the session. And if you couldn't find a great time with all your team present for the session, reach out to us and let us know, and we'll see what we can do to find a good time for everyone. And the next thing, yeah.
Why is it important that a team meets with the festival project team?
Good point. So this session is mainly held by our project team, Cloudworks, and it's important for both of us, like both our team and your team, to know how your design fit in the whole virtual festival. Like what do we need to do to support your design, and how does your design not break our world? So like, and how, from the guest perspective, what does it look like? Like, are we making their lives harder by implementing your design, although we can support it perfectly? Like, does it still support does the guest flow, overall guest flow, because you design the guest flow within your BVW room, like within your world. We design the guest flow for the whole festival, and we want to make sure that we do not conflict each other. And we will help with discussing with each team on your tech choices, like which tech you choose and what are the things you want to look for when you're designing around that tech. And we expect the teams to come with questions at least. It doesn't have to be a full pitch idea, but you have to think about what you want to do and come to us with questions, and we'll discuss with you on what does it look like on this virtual space for the festival. Good. Okay. If you have any questions regarding the consultation, you want to make the best use of those 20 minutes, you're welcome to reach out to us and to discuss over like what do you want, like to talk. If you have any questions, just reach out. Next thing is what we're doing on the Thursday is we're taking a group photo for the whole class on Zoom. It will be a screenshot of everyone, but it still look like a group photo. And what is this group photo for? Is for the festival website. Right now, we don't really have a group photo of everyone from class of 2022. We did have a photo for 2021. So we're making you guys a photo, and we're trying to make it as fun and as exciting for the remote. So you can see us like playing around with the backgrounds a lot. And we kind of like, these are really fast. Like all the backgrounds we made for the afternoon teams were during class. So everything was made when we saw something, and then we drew it, and then we sent it up. So that's how fast it is that you can create your own backgrounds. So don't worry too much about it. But we do ask everyone to follow the color patterns we have. So we have 4 color choices, and use one of them as your background color and create your own doodle. It could be like add some words to it, or it can be anything. But we do ask nothing inappropriate, please. We will like crop you off if we found something inappropriate after we screenshot it. And also, after you created your own background, confirm where your camera is. This is AJ. When we took the screenshot, he was looking at the screen rather than his camera. So check where your camera is and check your lighting in the room. Hopefully, to make yourself look nice, and be creative and turn on your camera. So we also created some fun templates. Like it could be anything. Some were like inspired by the worlds we've seen from before, and you can download everything here. Like here we have the basic pure color backgrounds and also some weird stuff. You have the dinosaurs, you have sharks. I don't know why we have sharks. I just like sharks, so I drew a shark. And you are also welcome everyone to share your design on the photo with everyone. So like if you create something for the whole class, or you create something for your team specifically, or anything, like throw it up there and share with your friends, and anything, like make it fun. And we are excited to see what you guys have on Thursday, and make sure you have your camera. Another thing we want to remind everyone is the t-shirt competition is due this week, and make sure to follow this and make sure to submit your t-shirt. Yes, make sure to submit your t-shirt. There's nothing else I could add to that. So like this is for your class, and if you don't submit the t-shirt, there's not going to be a t-shirt for your class. How sad that is. So submit your t-shirt. Next thing is you guys, most of you, ooh, this is due, so we don't have it anymore. So these are the things. Please make sure you do fill in the retro survey, especially this one. And for Tuesday office hour, we open up a lot of office hour. You can use it as a team, or you can use it as an individual. I open up some more personal office hour following what I read from retro survey. So if you need anything, feel free to sign up for office hour with us. And for festival committee, we've already been in touch with a lot of first years, and including everyone on the festival design. And each one of us that we've contacted with and talked to, like they have different responsibilities, and we don't have a deadline for signing up for festival committee. Whoever is signed up, and we'll start talking with them and see how they could fit in the whole festival design, and pick something that they like to do. So if you're still interested, just sign up and we'll talk to you and see how we can fit you in the whole festival design and preparation. For the production, it will come in a little bit later. So no worries if you sign up for production committee, but you haven't heard back from us. It's normal. We'll be in touch with you soon. Okay, so far, is there any questions regarding group photos, t-shirt competition, retro survey, or festival committee? Oh, thank you, Steph. Yeah, and make sure to complete your retro survey. And for a retro session that we would do as a team is not mandatory, but if you feel like your team needs something, we encourage you to sign up for one for a fresh, different perspective on things.
All right, I think that's everything. Again, great job on round 4. I encourage you guys to sort of use this week to reflect a little bit. It's a good week for just thinking about festival, letting your brains work on stuff. Festival is, it's an exciting time. This is not necessarily about the biggest and most, world that's full of the most stuff that it gets festival. So don't keep escalating. Think about audience, think about experience, and think about how to scope things. I like to think that festival and round 3 are the best friends. So an experience that's just fun and engaging is often some of the best stuff you can do. Those are also some of the things that are the best scoped. So imagine what you would like to share with like your friends and family that you invited, what you'd like them to see, try. And like I said, yeah, use this week to sort of like ease into that, meet with TAs, get perspective, sign up for office hours if you have questions or you just want to bounce ideas around. I think the other faculty, I want to speak for them, but this is a place that it's worth finding new opinions and like what are some of the exciting possibilities. So I think it's a good time just to be thinking as opposed to rushing in and trying. And with that, great job round 4. Get some rest. Find some time for yourself. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. And hopefully round 5 will be just really exciting and a lot of fun. So with that, see you guys on Thursday.